You walk to the kitchen window with your coffee, the way you do every morning, and something feels off before you even understand what it is. Then it hits you. The yard is quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Not the soft hush of a summer dawn. This is the wrong kind of quiet. The cardinals that were chattering 5 minutes ago, the sparrows arguing at the feeder, the wren that always announces itself from the fence post, all of them, gone. Not flown away in a flutter, you would have noticed. Just silent. And you stand there with the warm mug in your hands, and you feel it before you can name it. Something is out there. If your backyard birds suddenly go silent, the very first thing you should look for is not in the trees, not in the grass, and not at your feeder. It is in the sky, and by the end of these next few minutes, you will know exactly what to scan for, what your birds are telling you without making a single sound, and one specific detail almost nobody notices that can tell you whether the danger has passed or whether it is still watching from somewhere very close. Stay with me, because the most surprising part of this is not what causes the silence. It is what your birds do in the seconds right before it. Let me say this clearly, so it is the one thing you remember. When healthy songbird activity drops to 0 in a matter of seconds, the overwhelming probability is that a hawk has just entered your yard. And not just any hawk. In most North American backyards, the culprit is one of 2 specific species. The Cooper's hawk, or its smaller cousin, the sharp-shinned hawk. These are not the great soaring red-tails you see circling over highways. These are forest hunters, smaller, fast, built to weave between branches at terrifying speed, with long tails for steering and short rounded wings for sudden bursts. They specialize in one thing: ambushing songbirds at feeders. Now here is what most people do not realize. By the time you notice the silence, your birds have already made a decision. A very old decision. Older than your house, older than your feeder, older than the very species of bird itself. The decision is to freeze. Think about that for a moment. A chickadee weighs less than half an ounce. Its heart beats around 500 times per minute. Its entire instinct when threatened is to fly. That is its whole survival strategy. Flight, and yet, when a Cooper's hawk drops into the yard, that same chickadee will plaster itself against the trunk of a tree, against the underside of a branch, against the inside of a dense shrub, and it will not move. It will not blink. It will not call. Because flying, in that moment, is the worst thing it could possibly do. Movement is what the hawk is hunting for. So the little bird does the one thing every fiber of its body screams against. It stays perfectly still. And that is what you are hearing when you hear that wrong kind of silence. You are hearing dozens of tiny lives holding their breath. Before I tell you the second thing to look for, and before I get to that detail I promised, the one almost nobody notices, let me ask you something. Have you ever experienced this in your own yard? That sudden silence? If you have, do me a small favor and just type the word yes in the comments. I genuinely want to see how common this is. And if you are just discovering this channel, hit subscribe now, because over time, I am going to teach you to read your backyard the way an old falconer reads the wind. You will never look out your kitchen window the same way again. Now back to that sky. When you scan, do not look for a bird in flight. That is the mistake everyone makes. They look up expecting to see something soaring. A hunting accipiter, which is the family Coopers and sharp-shinned hawks belong to, almost never gives itself away like that. Instead, look for a silhouette that does not belong, a lump on a branch that was not there yesterday, a shape on top of your fence post that is just a little too upright, a motionless figure tucked into the crotch of a tree, half hidden by leaves. Hawks perch and watch. They are patient in a way that almost feels personal. And here is the detail I promised you, the detail most people miss for their entire lives. Look at the smaller birds in the yard, the ones you can still find frozen in place. Look at where their heads are pointed, even when they are completely silent, even when they look like they are made of stone. Every chickadee, every titmouse, every junco within sight will have its head and one bright eye locked onto the exact location of the predator. They are little living compasses. Follow the line of their gaze. They will show you where the hawk is sitting before you ever see it yourself. That alone is worth pausing on. The birds are pointing for you. You only have to learn to read them. Now here is where things get interesting. Because the silence is not actually the first warning. The silence is the second warning. There is a first warning, and if you learn to catch it, you will know the hawk is coming before it even arrives. It is a sound, a very specific sound, a high, thin, drawn-out seat, almost like a leaking tire, but softer. Chickadees make it. Titmice make it. Nuthatches make it. Even cardinals will do their own version of it. Ornithologists call this the aerial predator alarm call, and it is one of the most beautiful pieces of evolution you will ever encounter in your own yard. Here is why. That thin seat is acoustically designed to be almost impossible for a hawk to locate. The frequency, the slow attack, the lack of sharp edges in the sound, all of it means the hawk hears the warning but cannot pinpoint where it came from. Meanwhile, every small bird in the area understands the message instantly. It is the avian version of whispering a warning in a code your enemy can hear, but cannot follow. You will hear that thin seet, then the chatter drops away. Then the silence falls. If you learn to recognize that one sound, you get a head start of maybe 5 or 10 seconds. And in 5 or 10 seconds, you can be at your window watching one of the most dramatic events in the natural world unfold in your own backyard. Now, I want to take a small detour because I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, fine, hawks, but what if I look up and I see nothing, and the silence is still there? Good. That is exactly the right question, because hawks are the most common cause, but they are not the only cause. And the second most common cause might surprise you. Cats, specifically your neighbor's outdoor cat, or sometimes your own. A house cat moving low through grass, even one 100 feet away, will silence a yard just as completely as any hawk. Birds know cats. They have learned cats over generations. And while a hawk attacks from above, a cat attacks from below, which means the freezing behavior changes. The birds will move higher into the trees, and their alarm calls will shift to a sharper, more percussive chip, chip, chip. If you hear that sound, do not look at the sky. Look at the ground. Look along fence lines. Look under bushes. Look at the edges of your yard where the grass meets the hedge. That is where you will find the second culprit. There is also a third cause, and this one is less dangerous but worth knowing. Sometimes birds go silent because of a sudden change in barometric pressure. A storm front rolling in faster than the forecast predicted. Animals feel pressure shifts in their inner ears and in tiny organs we still do not fully understand. A flock of feeding birds can vanish into shelter 10 or 15 minutes before the first drop of rain falls. So if you scan the sky and you see no hawk, scan the horizon. Check the wind. Look at the clouds. Your birds may be telling you the weather is about to change in a way your phone has not reported yet. If you are enjoying this, hit the like button right now. Not because I am asking out of habit, but because every like genuinely helps this slower, quieter, more thoughtful kind of content reach the people who actually want it. People like you, who still look out their windows. Now let me give you something practical. Because watching is wonderful, but knowing what to do is better. Here is the simple sequence I want you to keep in mind for the rest of your life. When your yard suddenly goes silent, first, do not move quickly. Do not throw open the door. Do not run outside. You will scatter the frozen birds, and if a hawk is hunting, you may push them straight into the strike. Stay at the window. Move slowly. Second, look up first, then down. Scan branches, fence posts, the tops of pergolas, and even the eaves of your own house. Cooper's hawks will perch shockingly close to feeders. Then sweep the ground, the hedge bases, the shadows under shrubs. Third, find your motionless songbirds and follow their eye line. Let them point for you. And fourth, listen. Wait for the first soft tseet or chip to return. That sound is the all clear. The birds are telling each other and telling you that the danger has moved on. And here is the part almost nobody talks about. After the silence breaks, do not be sad if you see the hawk leave with a small bird in its talons. I know how that sounds, but hawks are not villains. They are not cruel. A Cooper's hawk in your yard is one of the most powerful signs that your backyard is a real ecosystem and not just a decoration. You attracted enough songbirds to attract a predator. You built something alive. The hawk is the proof. There was a woman I once read about who kept a small notebook on her windowsill. Every time her yard went silent, she would write down the date, the time, what she had seen, and how long it took for the birds to start singing again. After 2 years, she had something almost no ornithologist had: a detailed personal map of the rhythm of fear and recovery in her own 20 feet of grass. She could tell you that on cold mornings, the silence lasted 12 minutes. On warm afternoons, sometimes only 3. She could tell you the cardinals always sang first, the wrens always last. She knew her yard the way some people know their own children. And she said, and I think about this often, that she had never felt lonely at her kitchen window again. That, more than anything else, is what I want you to take from this. The next time you feel that wrong silence settle over your yard, I do not want you to be afraid of it. I want you to lean toward it, because in that silence there is a story being told. A hunter is moving through the trees. A flock is holding still. A small bird is staring with one bright eye at something terrible. And in 5 minutes, or in 10, the world is going to start over again. The first song will rise, then another. Then the whole choir comes back, careful at first, then bolder. And you will have witnessed something that has been happening on this continent for millions of years, right outside your own window. Most people will live their entire lives and never notice it. You will not be most people anymore. One last thing before I let you go, because I promised at the very beginning that I would tie this back together. Remember when I said your birds make a decision in the seconds right before the silence? That decision, that freeze, is what biologists call adaptive stillness. And the reason it matters, the reason I wanted to leave you with it, is because it is the very same instinct that lives in us. When we are frightened, when life suddenly tips sideways, we have all felt that pull to go still, to stop, to wait, to listen. We share that ancient wiring with the chickadee, and every time you watch your yard go quiet and then watch it slowly come back to life, you are watching, on a tiny scale, exactly what every living thing on this planet has been doing since the beginning: freezing in the dark, then finding the courage to sing again. So tomorrow morning, when you take your coffee to the window, listen carefully. If the yard is full of song, enjoy it. If the yard is silent, scan the sky, then the eyes of the smaller birds, then the shadows along the ground. And when the singing comes back, and it always comes back, take that as a small free gift from the world. If this gave you a new way of seeing your own backyard, do 2 quick things for me. Tell me in the comments what kind of bird you see most often in your yard. I read those, and you would be surprised how often I answer. And subscribe, because next time I am going to tell you about a single sound your birds make right at dusk that once you learn it, you will hear in every yard, every park, and every walking trail for the rest of your life. Until then, keep watching, keep listening. Your yard is talking to you.